go to collab.research.google.com, click on the new notebook option, and let's go ahead and title this one first function. So in this notebook, you're going to write your first function in Python. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to write a function that triples a number. So it multiplies a number by 3. Let's learn how to do this in Python. So comment here, write function that triples a number, okay? And note that in math, we would write this as f of x equals 3x. So let's learn how to do that in Python. Okay. The first step is actually to write the keyword def. And you can see it once you put def up there, it actually does change color, suggesting that this is a keyword in Python. When Python sees the def, it's looking for a function definition. Next, you do a space to close the word def, and now you name the function. In this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and give it the same name as the standard math one, which would be f. Okay? And then like in math, you have a parentheses. Okay? And then inside of the parentheses is the variable usually that you want to change or that you want to modify, you could say, each time you run the function. So in this case, we'll go with the standard math x. Okay? Now, something that's different is after the closed parentheses, you actually need a colon. Okay? Not a semicolon, but a colon. That's shift with the colon. And this is the first line in Python. So we're defining a function called f that takes an input of x. Now after the colon, we need the instructions, but the instructions go in another line. So you go ahead and you press the return key on your keyboard. And if you look at where your cursor is, it's actually where it should be. It's spaced over by 2. In Python, everything is indented on different lines. Okay, you'll get used to that after a while, and we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so the idea here now is that we can just go ahead and return the value of the function. And this is required in Python. You need the keyword return. Okay, you can see it's color-coded. And then after return, you want to give it the value. And the value here is it's 3 times the input. It's 3 times x. But recall that in Python, it's not 3x. You need the times in there. Okay? So return 3 times x. That is how to define the function above, 3x. Go ahead and press Shift-Enter to store the function. Okay? This isn't going to deliver any outputs, but it is going to store what f means inside of our function. So now you can call f, and you can go ahead and put in an input like 2, okay? So this is kind of nice because you call it here in the same way that you would in math. You write the name of your function, you put the parentheses in there, and then you go ahead and put whatever number you want to assign. And then you can think, well, 3 times 2 is 6, so that's the expected value. Go ahead and give it a try. Hold on to the Shift key, press Return, and you can see you do get the expected value of 6. Okay, now I want to make a couple of changes to this function. So the first one, okay, let's still go ahead and call it f of x. Well, it's called f, okay? And instead of returning it, I'm going to go ahead and give a series of instructions, okay? Because this is very common in Python. It's common in any programming language. Instead of just going straight to the answer, you may have a lot of code to write. So for instance, I could assign a variable called product to 3 times x, right? That's the product of those numbers. And I can then, in fact, return the product. So functionally, this is not any different than the original definition above, but I like to do this initially because it's just very common that, your most useful functions are often going to have a series of steps that you need to take. You could have as many steps as desired. And note also here, too, that the indentation is the same. Okay, and this actually is essential. Different indentation will actually not work. Okay, so let's try this modification now and verify that we get the same result. We can put in another number here, like 4. It should still give us the expected output of 3 times 4, which is 12. And you can see we do get, in fact, the number 12. Okay, next modification. Now this f of x business is very useful in math, not so much in Python, because in Python there are many different types of functions, not just numerical ones. And so usually it's better to actually call your function something different than f. Like for example, it's good to say what the function actually does. Well, in this case, it is tripling a number, right? So instead of just calling it a generic f, you don't know what that means, let's call it triple. Okay, and what are we tripling? We're tripling a number, okay? That's kind of nice. And so number here is going to be our variable. Now you put your colon in, and again, I'll go ahead and give the instructions. I want the product, which is going to be 3 times, it's not x here. The variable is now number. You may call your variables whatever you like, and now I simply return the product. Now this is a nicely defined function in terms of the variable naming, okay? So go ahead and press Shift-Enter to store it. Hopefully there's no errors. If you get any errors, make sure that your indentation is correct. And by the way, if indentation gets messed up, just to show you, okay, this is not right. You can see it's being underlined. I'll even go ahead and put in the error. It says it's outside the function. What you can always do is you can backspace it to the previous line and then press return, okay? And same thing with the product. You could backspace it and press return. Okay, so hopefully you have it cleared up. You have a function that's ready to triple a number. And here's the beauty of naming it properly. When you call it triple, it's exactly what it does, right? If I want to triple the number 10, okay, I press Shift-Enter, and you get the expected output of 30.